There we go. Thanks everyone for joining us here. You know me, I'm Peter Rodenberg in the Global Education Office, and I'm joined with my former colleague down the hall, Amelia Lucia, and Dr. Gaber in the Business College. And I'm going to pass it over to them to explain all this stuff. And if you have any questions, please post them in the chat so I can read them and relay them to our two experts here. Okay. And with that, oh, Amelia, I need to make, are you a co-host?
No, I'm not. I just saw that. I was just about
Sorry,
ready to share my screen. No worries.
For you. Yep. So you can share your screen.
No worries.
Make a co-host. Just another one of those things. I should have done this before.
No worries.
All right. You should be good to go.
Yeah. Great. Hi, everyone. As I said, or as Peter has said, I am Amelia Lucia. I am going to if I remember, it's been a while since I've done this. Share my screen. There we go. Just want that one. Can everyone see my screen at this point in time?
Oh yeah.
Should say in red, welcome to SUNY Plattsburgh. The presentation will begin shortly, because sometimes we have that up.
Yep.
Great. I'm going to ask Peter to watch the chat. Our other guest with us, special guest with us today is Dr. Gaber. You want to just give a, Dr. Gaber, would you like to quickly introduce yourself and we'll have you answer some questions later?
Certainly. My name is Mohammed Gaber and the students call me Mo, it's easy for them, and to start, I can say that I have something in common with everybody who's listening to us, because I came as an international student myself. My prior education in Egypt, I have a bachelor degree in business in financial sciences, and I have a master degree in accountancy from University of Cairo. And I came to the States, I went to several schools, University of Texas A&M, University of North Carolina at Raleigh, and University of Tennessee. And I ended up with, City University of New York, where I got 2 master's degrees. One is MBA, and one is master in philosophy. I don't know why, but I got it. And a PhD in accounting with 2 additional concentration on finance and quantitative analysis. I serve certainly as a chair of the accounting department, and I got promoted to the distinguished service professor by SUNY. And I have been in the School of Business for 35 years, 25 years out of which, is chairing the accounting department. I'm looking really forward to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gaber. So you're in good hands, and I hope if you have any parents or family members here listening in too as well, to let you know that we're going to get your questions answered today, and if not, we'll look them up for you. We'll find out for you and get back to you. So this is our gorgeous, obviously a drone view of downtown Plattsburgh with the Saranac River, Adirondack Mountains in the background. It's a really beautiful, sweet town. I moved here about just over 10 years ago. And it's just a gorgeous spot in New York State. And I'm sure, as Peter has told you, we are about still a 5-hour drive from New York City, which is quite wonderful. All those New York City people, they come up here to vacation and enjoy and relax the mountains. So if they want to do that, there's a reason why. In case you haven't heard, there's just a few fast facts. You probably have known, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right. How big we are. We're a great small school. We're going to talk more about why. I'm sure Peter has as well. Being a small school is very, very smart for an undergrad. We are, 30% diverse, 49% first generation. Do you know what that means, right? This is their first time ever going to college. So for some of you, maybe it's your first time going to college, you'll be with other people. This is a gorgeous spot, again, on campus, the Hawkins Pond, not far from where the business school is. SBE, what does that stand for? School of Business and Economics. As you may have heard already, we are accredited. That's a pretty big deal. Only 5% business schools in the world are accredited. And I can tell you, if you decide to go on to graduate schools or for employers, and Dr. Gaber can probably talk about this a little bit later, of how important that really is when you're choosing a business school. Again, as we mentioned before, we have 11 different undergraduate majors. We do have 11 minors, but I can tell you, after having worked with, as I mentioned, my former life was working with international students, that it's great to have a minor, but immigration-wise, when it comes to work authorizations, the in Department of Homeland Security, USCIS Immigration Services only cares about your major. Okay, so that's where you want to make sure that's on your I-20. Speaking of which, we have a really cool program, which is 4+1 with accounting and then data analytics. It's pretty hot. A lot of our international students, I know even an environmental science major who graduated in undergrad environmental science and then decided to do data analytics as well. I thought that was a super smart combination. So that's certainly possible as well. For all of the School of Business, about 1,000 students, 14% are international. So it's great to know that you'll come up against some other students who get it, who understand what it's like studying abroad. We have a lot of full-time faculty. If you do some comparison with other schools, I just changed this number. This for the SUNY Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching. We did have 5. Now we're up to 6. Dr. Jason Lee in the accounting department, well-loved professor as well. So that's our quick overview. This gorgeous building in the background. Here's a better picture of it. This is called Sable Hall. My favorite part, I'll be honest, is this part right here. You see this patio to go out and just take a break from my office and walk around, but there's tables out here. Sometimes I see students studying out here or taking a little lunch break and this nice little lounge. But on the 2nd and 3rd floors here are most of your professors. There's some student labs over here on the left. And then downstairs is where we have the classes for the School of Business and Economics. Over in the back corner here is some really cool labs experience. We're going to talk about that hands-on learning. We have Bloomberg Lab and also the Cyber Technology Center. I'm going to mispronounce it, but Center for Cyber Technology, the hackerspace. We'll talk about that too. It's super cool that we have this in our building. We are the newest building on campus. A little fun fact trivia. Do you know what that building is over here in the corner that we're just right across the street from? Anyone has heard that we're close to? That's the hospital. So we are super close in any emergencies on the weekend. I know students have walked over there in emergency room. So that's just really for your parents to know, just to know that we're very safe. Nice small town, but you're going to be safe here. So School of Business and Economics. Here's a list of our 11 majors. Any guess why I have highlighted these and kind of why these two are highlighted? Data analytics and economics. And please, Peter, let me know if I've missed one there or that should have been highlighted, but I think. So many students, you can like mix and match and add on. Why I have those highlighted. This says economics, but if you're an economics major on your I-20, it's going to say quantitative economics, which actually is on the STEM list. So bing, 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 bing. You want to make sure, in my opinion, if you want to have 2 more years of work, you have 1 year of OPT and then a 2-year extension. If you meet all the other requirements and with certain employers, you could have 3 years of OPT altogether with economics, or also with a master's degree in data analytics, which again has been very popular. And that's where it's at. That major is pretty important right now in our world, and very, very popular. I have this one in gray, the online accounting degree, because for you international students coming here and you're brand new students, you wouldn't be qualified. However, because it's really, it is a completion program for students who maybe already have a degree and want an accounting degree, or they already have a couple of years of school and life reasons they had to stop going to school and want to come back. But if you have aunts and uncles or parents or someone you know that would love to finish up their accounting degree or take an online accounting degree from back home in India or from wherever, or friends and relatives in the States, that is possible, but not as an F1 student inside the United States. But that's what Dr. Gaber and our heart is in that. That's actually, I'm the point person for that program. So, but hospitalities management is here, and I believe, would that be true, Dr. Gaber? Do you have anything you want to say? That's also often combined with another major too.
Yeah.
Okay. Next slide. So I want to make sure it's clear to you as well. We are a SUNY school. So we're a little bit different than some of the other private colleges in a lot of ways. As a public state university, that all the SUNY schools in the first two, in the majority of the first 2 years, there's classes are going to be a certain way. So certainly you will have some classes in your major in the first semester, but don't expect to be your whole schedule filled up with all the classes in your major. That does not happen. So I want to make sure that's clear. You're going to have a lot of general education requirements that you'll need to take. And usually most students take those the first 2 years. So again, as we talked about, we believe at SUNY that you can be a well-rounded person. So you're going to take a little bit of, a natural science, maybe, or a science class, a nutrition class, an arts class. It could be about music, and there's lots of different choices there, but that's really important to us, that you start out getting to be well-rounded. Also, as I heard in India, right, you can just read the book and show up for exams, right? So what about the United States? I know maybe it might was the same in Egypt as well. I'm not sure. It's but I think it might have been. It's a little bit flipped here.
Yeah.
Here, it's the opposite. You need to attend class. You need to participate in class. And this is going to be to your benefit, because over here, if you attend class and participate, guess what happens with your support, especially the first 2 years, professors and office hours. If you go to your professors' office hours, they will get to know you, even if maybe you got a B on a test and you really were hoping for an A. Go with that test and ask them, so I got this and this wrong. Can you help talk to me a little bit more? Or you heard something in the news about the same topic as your class and you want to talk more about it. They love that. There's a reason why these professors are working at a smaller school, because they can get to know their students better.
Yeah,
So
Amelia, I'd like to point out that there's a difference between attendance and participation, right?
Okay.
You can attend a class, but you need to participate to get the most of the opportunity, right?
And this is not exclusive to SUNY Plattsburgh. That's
No.
going to be for every school in the United States. I'm just trying to explain a cultural difference,
Yeah.
because we want you to succeed.
Yep.
Okay. We want you to succeed, because I've seen it. I have seen students who are they didn't show up because I didn't think I needed to show up. A student from India, and she flunked out. I was like, oh, you could have done this. And the other piece is speaking up. It's really hard, I think, especially at 18, 19-year-olds, even for American students, but speaking up and asking what you need. And there are lots of people who care on this campus, whether it's your advisor or even talking to a favorite professor that you connect with, or it's Peter, someone in the Global Education Office. Amanda is amazing, that are willing to help you. And don't wait. And they're going to talk about this during orientation. This was during one of our orientation sessions pre-COVID. Some wonderful favorite students in there. You'll get to know those are the people that you can go to for help. What I'm saying, don't wait for help, is the Learning Center. Sometimes maybe you don't know, you're like, I'm really not great in math. I struggle in math. For example, calculus is a really tough class. If you already know that, don't wait till the midterm, 2 or 3 weeks in, go over to the Learning Center and get signed up with a tutor who's going to be an upperclassman who already got an A in that class, who can tell you all the ins and outs. And maybe you're also going to make a great friend. They also hire a lot of international students at the Learning Center, the tutoring center. So let's say if you get an A in that class, you can get hired. And lastly, student support services. If there's some students, if they've been diagnosed with a learning difference, dyslexia, for example, or there's an anxiety issue or ADHD, attention deficit disorder, they can help the students to making sure you get the right accommodations that you need to be successful. Okay. So this is the cool hands-on stuff I was telling you about that we have here in Sable. Oh, I love it. They always say hackers wanted for the cybersecurity and technology. Usually, I believe it was pre-COVID. I don't know if it happened this year, was a conference for that. And specifically, there's been conference just for women in technology as well. But we're pretty proud. There's a Bloomberg Finance Trading Lab. Usually I see a student is also hired to help out with their lots of hands-on learning. I know also pre-COVID times, there were field trips taken down to Wall Street as well. And we can, if you have more questions about that, Dr. Gaber, and it was part of that as well, but it was super cool to see those pictures. So again, getting involved. Speaking of which, I believe Dr. Gaber, was this picture of one of those? This is Operation Bloomberg, if you can't see that. This picture here, was that part of one of your field trips down to the city and Wall Street?
Yes, that's correct.
That's what I
There's a
thought.
company called Global Tax on Wall Street, and the main reason we are there because of the alumni. And guess what? You know, she was an international student when she came in from Albania.
Oh,
And
cool.
we got her a job on Wall Street, and it's almost 10 years now, very successful.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful to see. So again, coming to the United States, I don't know if any of you have gone to school in the United States. Certainly your academics are important. Attending class and then participating, getting to know your professors is important. The second thing, if you want to get a job, which is usually the goal, is your leadership. There's lots of opportunities for leadership, and that's part of getting involved. You need to do that. Also for getting internships. I mean, that's where I've seen the successful international students, they're getting involved. So you're balancing your academics, and certainly, yeah, you're getting to know people and enjoying your time here, but you also want a great way to get to know people and other people is getting involved. And also you need this on your resume, absolutely, to be able to get, once you graduate, to get those jobs that you want. So we have lots of opportunities here. SVE Voices, for example, down here, I just did a fabulous leadership conference just 2 weeks ago where they invited alums to come. One of them on there, I was pretty sure she's graduating. I'm pretty sure she's getting a job because of her connection of the alums that she met being on SVE Voices. They have around one representative from every single major. There is a hospitality management club. So it's there. I think they do a lot of really cool things. American Marketing Association really is dominated by international students usually. So 4 out of the 5 here in this picture are international students, actually. I believe they traveled down to a conference for this. They raised some money and got to go to a conference. So pretty fabulous. A couple of the 3 of them have already graduated. Antonella is just graduating this year as well. So pretty exciting. This last picture is in our Student Services Center, our student center essentially on campus. So, and again, I know of one Indian student, he started his own club. There is still a South Asian Student Association, but he wanted specifically something that focused on the arts. And so it was called ICE, right? Indian Cultural and Entertainment Club. He started that because he wanted to see that. So if you don't see something that you want, there is a process to do that. Again, our student association has been dominated a lot by a lot of international students getting involved. Our current student association president is international. So, and from the peninsula there. So absolutely, I highly recommend. You need to have this on your resume. You have 4 years here or 3 or 4 years. This is your opportunity to get focus on your academics, but you also really need to make sure you're involved in clubs to get that on your resume. Just one sidebar here. Want to make sure you know, of course, we have a lot of social distancing measures. We are a state school, so we're mandated by the governor for a lot of things that are happening on our campus. So here's our mascot is Bergie, the Cardinal. We are the Cardinals. So of course, wearing our masks. So this has been happening the past year. We are very happy to say that we are going back to face in the fall, of course, with 3 feet distancing. I'm sure probably people will still be wearing masks as well. We have been testing every single week. Actually, I volunteer once a week to help out with the pooled saliva testing. I have to say one thing that's super cool, this saliva testing, was the scientist who invented this. He is from this area and he is a SUNY Plattsburgh graduate. And this is the type of testing that every single SUNY school, 64 campuses across New York State. My cousin is a professor at environmental science and forestry in Syracuse. She also has the same pool testing. So Dr. Middleton is a SUNY Plattsburgh graduate. I just think that's super cool. He was not a school of business, but it's super cool. I have to give him a shout out. And his son goes to school here as well. So if the scientist who invented the saliva testing decides that his son can go to school in Plattsburgh, I think it might be a good choice for you as well. But we just want to make sure we're on it. They just started doing vaccination clinics. I'm so happy that I live in New York State. New York State has really been on this and not taking, they're taking it seriously. This is not a joke. Here's another, of course, international student just got his vaccine. That's Tofig. Actually, I've usually seen him in the Bloomberg labs. I've seen Tofig. He's a business major as well. So you'll be well taken care of. Okay, back to probably your ultimate goal here, to get a great education and then get a job. We get that. We want to make sure you are prepared for this. So there's a couple different ways. Everyone is required to take Business 203. This is an excellent class taught by Dr. Wanda Havey to get you prepared. A lot of self-reflection, a lot of career advice, how to dress. And they also probably, I think they fold in the American Marketing Association here on campus, organizes an etiquette series. It's awesome. Art of conversation, interviews. This is also one of favorite. Dr. John Parmalee from Hospitality Management talks about dining. When you go out to a business dinner, how should you act? And it's really important for our international students. Some things are a little bit different. You're going to notice I'm sure same with me. If I was doing business in India, it's going to be a little bit different. Lots of things for me to learn. And the same vice versa. So we provide lots of opportunities for you to connect with alums. As I mentioned, that leadership summit that happened, and as well as here, I believe that Randy Blender was an alum as well. 2 career fairs per year. We make sure you're well prepared for those. Even as a freshman, we encourage you to go. We highly strongly recommend you do internships, which is also called in the immigration world CPT, curricular practical training, some extra paperwork and a course credit. Hospitality management, you're going to need 600 hours, I believe, of applied hands-on learning. Again, I talked about all those New York City folks come up here to vacation, so there's some opportunities there for you in this area. Also, I'm super proud that not many other SUNYs have this, especially the smaller 4-year comprehensive, not like the giant, like Binghamton is a giant school. We have our own internship director as well, Justine. She's just a few doors down from me. She's fabulous, super nice, really hard worker. She has a lot of connections in the local community to help you find an internship. But if you're also looking for an internship beyond, she can assist you with that, making sure your resume and everything is up to date. So here's just a few of the internships that have happened for our School of Business students, and particularly our international students. Deloitte. We'll talk a little bit more about that. It's a pretty big one. I hope right? That's part of the big 4, right, Micah?
The largest.
Okay, the largest. Yeah, so pretty important. We tell you at least 2, but I think there's been many more international students. I just know the 2 recent. Swarovski, am I pronouncing that correctly? There's a facility right here in Plattsburgh. They do most of the lighting, but that's one of our connections, long-time connections for internships for school business students. The Crown Plaza in the gorgeous Lake Placid, New York. I know a hospitality management international student who has done an internship up there as well. So Lake Placid is about an hour away, but I know some of our hospitality management students are there. And also Lake George is another hour and a half. A lot of New York City people have second homes, or it's a big tourist town. And also on-campus departments, don't forget, I know of another international student. She was a marketing student and she did a marketing internship with athletics. Our athletics, we're big hockey, but we also have other sports. They have their own marketing department within athletics. So she had a great experience there. She's now on OPT and now she's going on to graduate school in data analytics, actually. So we have those opportunities. Yeah, so this is my favorite slide. Probably Dr. Gabers as well. Getting hired. Once you've done excellent with your academics, you've met those great professors, you've gotten involved in your clubs and leadership. So all of these people here were very involved. These are international students we're very proud of. Amit works for Deloitte. He has an interesting situation where he applied for OPT, but Deloitte had already submitted an H-1B application for him. So it was pretty rare. I've never seen it before, but he got the H-1B first and didn't even need OPT. Danish, Deloitte as well. Interned there, and then he came back for he had accounting, at least accounting undergrad and maybe more, and then came back for data analytics, working for Deloitte. I just heard yesterday that he was selected for the H-1B lottery. Here, this is Abe, and Danish was also very involved in the student association. He was in our residence halls, the dorm leaders, if we call them community assistants. Same with Amit, was a head community assistant, residential dorm leader, as you want to call that, as well, very highly involved in the student association and other clubs. Abe Sharma, again, here he was actually career development peer counselor in the Career Development Center, very involved. He was an orientation leader. Oh, so was Donish, was an orientation leader as well for our GEO. He also worked in the residence halls, same thing. I forget exactly which undergrad degrees he had as a business major, more than one, but now then became back for data analytics. He also now works for AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, selected for the H-1B. Okay, again, very highly involved, did well. Manouche, I had to get a woman up there too, absolutely. I believe she also had either a minor in gender and women's studies as well, but also hardworking School of Business student, I believe economics, because she also had the STEM degree going on, and I believe possibly marketing. She also works for Morgan Stanley, again, another H-1B. So I'm super proud. Again, it's a lottery for an H-1B, but I think there's a lot of SUNY Plattsburgh students who've done really well.
So,
Another one works for Nike, and a computer science works for Nike. One did an internship at NASA, and then you see Sheridan, one working at Sheridan.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah,
could you explain just briefly what an H-1B is?
Sure. So when it comes to work authorization, there's different steps. So one of that is internships while you're an undergraduate. You need to do that. And it's okay to do one while you're, if you have, outside the United States or back home, but it's also really great to get that work experience here. You do for School of Business. We have some requirements. Usually you need to be a junior standing as well and have taken Business 203. For the immigration side of it, you would need to be authorized for work before you work off campus, whether you're paid or unpaid. It's called curricular practical training. GEO will help you with that paperwork, but that needs to happen. Next step, after your last semester, you'll need to apply for the immigration paperwork called OPT, optional practical training. That's 1 year. Everybody gets 1 year. You graduate and you get 1 year of work experience. If you have graduated with a very particular, what's called the STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics type of major, which is formerly on the list, you get to, with that major, plus working with a very specific type of employer, which many of the big employers are, or I've even seen employers join this program so they can keep their international student that they love. You get 2 more years called STEM OPT. And those 3-year window helps employers get ready and prepared if they really want to keep you for what's called the H-1B visa, which is a worker visa, which is 6 years. So many of you may know, if you want to become a permanent resident, especially from India, that can be a long, long wait, depending on how it's done. But that's for an immigration attorney, usually GEO. We have a really great connection with an immigration law office, and always bring in an expert speaker once a year to talk about H-1B and answer questions, but she's also really good throughout the year to answer those types of questions. But that's in advance. Does that help, Peter? To get an overview?
I hope so.
Okay.
It helps me.
Yes.
We might touch on it again. Yeah. We got it.
Okay. So Donish won a Chancellor's Award. So what I'm saying is there's some really great rock stars, and these are now alums who love to give back and connect. So that's possible. I was amazed. Yeah, one student who did an summer internship with NASA after she graduated. That was the National Aeronautic Space Association. Do you know what that is, right? Okay. Lastly, okay, after all of that, I see it's 9:40. I want to hand it over to Dr. Gaber, but before I do that, I want to let you know there's a reason why I put these 2 pictures here. Okay. Dr. Gaber is a well-loved professor. He's fabulous, as you can see. But he's not the only one. There are lots of professors here as well, like Dr. Gaber, who love their students and love working here. You see the smiling faces. There's Dr. Mark Kaiser. This is Professor Haru from the marketing department. Big smiles here. There's a reason why they work at a smaller institution. They get to know their students. They're still doing research. They're still working hard and developing these really cool forensic accounting or whichever special topics of courses for you all to take, but they also really care a lot. And I think that's what the benefit of going to a smaller school. So I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Gaber, who can fill in the gaps, which I failed to talk about, and also talk about any of the academics.
Just, I want to just have a few words. You mentioned certainly the close relationship between faculty and students, faculty, staff, and students. This is not like any other I have seen before, and I have so many certainly experiences at other institutions. I was teaching in one of the schools in 600 students. And the first course in accounting, I never certainly know any student. The good thing about this institution, the class size within the School of Business is between 30 and 35 students. For accounting, when it comes to advanced courses like auditing, accounting information system, and the like, we talk about 20, 25. So we need certainly those students to know us by first name. We know them by first name, because for me, I get in touch with all, certainly institutions, business organizations, Wall Street, accounting firms who are looking for our graduates and say, give us a chance. Here's what we have, the best education possible. There are people hungry to certainly join your institution. Danish and Amit, I know them since the first step at SUNY Plattsburgh. Amit graduated with 4 different majors: accounting, finance, economics, and business. And I know that he's going to be successful. And the first shot he got in Chicago for the internship said that, where are you coming from? This is what we need. See, the AACSB, accreditation is not an easy thing. Internationally, there are 13,000 school of businesses. Only 720 school of business globally are accredited by AACSB. So when you graduate, your resume will say AACSB. It doesn't make any difference where you're coming from, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, they join the same group. This is stamp of excellence wherever you go, and employers are looking at that, as where you're coming from, what is your degree, and if you are AACSB accredited school. Even if you have an undergraduate and you go to a graduate school somewhere, you have to have that distinction in order to trust the background and the knowledge you have. In fact, I'm looking forward to your questions. So I'm sure that we have maybe 20 minutes or 25 minutes for questions and that they have in their minds. So I can help them answering those questions. Peter?
Great. So if anyone has a question, please put it in the chat and I can relay it to Dr. Gaber or Amelia or whoever your question's addressed to.
So
Oh, go ahead, Angel.
do I type it or is it fine if I talk?
You can ask it. That's fine.
So this is quite confusing because I had attended a webinar a few weeks ago so this was like an academic breakout group thing. So we spoke about the 600 hours of work experience which we need. And over there, we were informed that this does not include internships. So what does it include?
I don't know the exact details of that. I can certainly make sure I check in with that department. So I will tell you from the immigration point of view, if you are doing any of your applied hours off campus, which I should also include, the only way for you to work off campus has to be directly related to one of your majors. Okay, you can't just,
Amelia.
so yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Angel's a DLA.
Oh, all right, well, never mind then, thank you. So don't worry about what I said about internships then, ignore that. So we call DLA domestic living abroad. So we can double check with that, with the internship. I think Justine actually mentioned that to me the other day versus the 600 hours. And that can happen either off campus or on campus. There was a lot of people doing their 600 hours on campus.
Oh, okay. So I have 2 other questions, but I'll let everyone else talk, then I'll ask them.
Angel, you could type it in the chat for me if you want.
Okay.
I will say, go ahead.
I heard that NASA and those space stations in US don't hire international students. Is it really true or not? Like you have internships there.
I'm sorry, can you say the name of the employer again that doesn't hire?
NASA and other astronomy agencies like.
So I'll tell you, NASA was specifically, the project was specifically about Bhutan, the country of Bhutan, and doing some research there. And that international student was from Bhutan. So that could have been why specifically that happened. You're probably right. If there's federal employers, Dr. Gaber and I were just talking about IBM, for example. I know, for example, my father worked for IBM, and we have a very good friend who's an accounting graduate from here that works for IBM, but it's considered a federal systems division, meaning they work on all the high security. They have contracts with the Air Force and other things. And I know they believe they do not hire international students as well, but there are a lot of other employers that do. So, and we keep track of those because we want to encourage, and same with our Career Development Center has a lot of other resources for you. But yeah, good point about NASA. You're right. I just think it's super cool. I was shocked too, but it was because it was a very specific research project for her country.
Mm.
Okay,
So
thank you.
there are exceptions to many of these rules.
May I add, just one thing about hiring international students, that was, in fact, a long time ago, but it's about 15 years. And we have one of our grad, not from School of Business, Environmental Science, and he's the CEO and the president and chairman of the board of a Fortune 500 company called World Fuel Corporation. It's a $40 billion company. And the headquarters is in Miami, Florida. And he got in touch with me through the alumni office and said that I need 3 accounting majors to have an internship on my site in Miami. Those international students must be speaking Chinese at that time. So it didn't take me more than maybe 6 hours, and I got the students. I have their resumes already, send it, made the interview, got the offer. They went to Miami, and the intention of the CEO saying that, well, I'm expanding my business in China, so I need people to speak the language and be the vocal, certainly voice for us, going back and forth. The company was able certainly to give them all kind of immigration issues. They have smart lawyers. It didn't take any time at all. 2 out of 3 are still there. They are high in rank. One of them went to the accounting side, KPMG, and she is a partner now at KPMG. So anything could happen.
Anything could happen. It's
Yes.
all about networking, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Alumni is one of the major source for me personally
Yep.
of the employment. Yes.
Yeah. So I have a question here about double majoring, and I know we get this a lot from international students because I don't think most of them don't consider the fact that you can double major, So Angel is hospitality management, as we mentioned earlier, and she's considering majoring in hospitality management and business. And she's asking if that's a good match and what you would recommend. And like the adding of both majors, there's, because the liberal arts foundation, right, there's a lot of classes that are the same. That's what makes it easy to double major. And she's asking about if you would take that class just one time or twice, which I know the answer, but Amelia or Dr. Gaber, would you like to talk about
Yes,
double majoring?
yes.
Maybe?
In fact, is one of the easiest school I have ever seen, to double major. And double majoring within the 2 major within the School of Business is as easy as possible. The reason is because we have what we call common core. Hospitality management, certainly students, management or accounting, they must take the first course in accounting, second course in accounting, they take management, they take marketing, they take economics, and the MIS, your first course, and certainly computer science. Those courses are common. You don't have to take them twice. It's only once. And if you have a major, if your first major in hospitality management and you want to major in business, we will see all the courses you have taken cross-listed. And then you may end up with 4 or 5 additional courses. Those 5 additional courses might be used as elective for your first major. So you can graduate with 120 credits, which is the must in a minimum, with 2, sometimes 3 different majors.
And so would this take you any extra time, or would you still graduate in a 4-year period?
Certainly 4 years, no more. And I have people done it in 3.5 years.
Wow.
I may jump into accounting because I have a passion for accounting. If you are your first major in accounting, you only need to take 2 additional courses to have the second major in business. You need to take 3 courses to have the third major in finance. So I do that a lot, so
Right.
it is very possible, very easy transition in combining 2 majors within the time frame.
So does that make sense to everyone? You have your SUNY general education requirements, but before the School of Business, there's some core courses there, foundational courses is another way we put it, that all the 11 different majors take. And then there's some very specific for your major added on. So absolutely, I've seen those mix and match well together. You know what, also, you don't have to decide both your 2 majors right now. That's the beauty of this. And that's for the United States, that's very common for all schools. Again, as I mentioned, I started out as musical theater and then like, oh man, I don't know, lots of different reasons. I've seen people pivot and change halfway through. So, you might, Angel, want to come with that on your I-20 with hospitality management. And then once you get here, see some of the classes, talk with your professors, and then add it on. It's possible to add it on while you're here. And then we would give you a new I-20 with both majors on there. So don't feel in a rush at all that you have to make that decision right now. Also, I would say take your time with that. Trust me, they'll tell you by a certain time you will need to add on that major. But I know of people even in their senior year, they had already taken those classes, so they just added on the double major.
So Amelia, when are students eligible for internships? Is that something they can do in like the second year, or is that more of a last year thing, or?
Usually they have to be a junior level. Am I correct on that, Dr. Gay? But they have to be the junior level and they must take Business 203 first.
Okay.
So if that's for the School of Business. So immigration wise, right, there's 2 different paths here. There's immigration rules and then there's academic policy. So immigration rules, you can do after 1 year, you can do an internship off campus somewhere in the United States. However, for the School of Business, for that internship, you need to be at a junior level, and that depends on how many credits you have.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So normally it's after 2 years, then you would do,
I wasn't familiar with the Business 203.
203.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that, but that's good to know.
Yes,
so,
it's good.
So there is a couple things you have to do, right? You can't just go off.
Yeah, you can't just jump in. And Business 203 is actually, you want to take that.
Yeah.
Trust me, you want to take that before you do an internship. And there's a reason why we require students to do that. We want SUNY Plattsburgh to show its best, right? You all want to do your best. So it's all about preparation.
Yep.
To make sure you do well at this job, because if they like you in the internship, you know what happens? They're just trying you out during that internship, like auditioning. So get back into my theater world, right? For that, as you're practicing, if they like you, like, yeah, we want you back. That's what happened with Donish. For one example, he interned at Deloitte and he kept on coming back. He works at 30 Rockefeller Center. Do you know that big, gorgeous icon in New York City with the ice skating rink and the big golden statue? That's where he works. He works at 30 Rock.
Wow.
SUNY Plattsburgh grad.
I just have a quick comment. Certainly Business 203 is good, and in addition to what we look for me, if an accounting firm say that I need an intern, I look at what they actually want. If they work in taxation, they have to have a course in taxation. If it is financial reporting, see that as well. But the business ethics also, maybe some students may not know, even our own students here, that this course also is considered part of the gen ed courses. It is a communication course. So you don't have to use the oral communication. This course is called Business Ethics and Professionalism. So you need to engage in a discussion. You need to know how to write a good resume. You need to know how to write a memo to the people who you are supervising, the people who are above you. But, again, additional piece of it is a gen ed course as well.
And just to follow up, Kushi, I see your question, but I'm going to skip it for just a second. Are there co-op OPT internship opportunities in hospitality here in Plattsburgh that you know of?
I think many of our students have, well, there's a couple of different places, yeah, that we have connections with. It's not exactly, I guess, depending how you want to define cooperative, a co-op, but I think of there's a hotel up the street, Days Inn. Now it's Days Inn. It used to be Holiday Inn, and I think part of that because it's owned by a family with Indian family heritage. To be honest, so there's been a really good connections there, I think, with our Indian student population as well. But also John Parmalee, who's our one of our professors, is the manager of a restaurant downtown by the marina. He also has a lot of great connections in Ithaca, New York, where Cornell is. He has connections there. Usually takes students on field trips to a very beautiful hotel and spa, high-end spa there. But here in I'm trying to think where hospitality management students have often gotten internships in town. Dr. Gabriel, unless you may not know.
Yes, and in fact, I have firsthand experience with some students hospitality management, and also they have a minor in accounting. That's why I was close to them. I have two people from Morocco, and they did it certainly locally here. We have 4 or 5 different, major chain in terms of hotels, and they work in different pieces of the hotel, certainly engagement or process. So they do. We have quite a bit, in fact, available. Again, I have somebody who has done it in New York City, as long as they get the permission, at Hyatt, because a key person at Hyatt, who's a manager, graduated from hotel and tourism 21 years ago. And he took a course by chance, in finance with me, and we kept the relationship. So when we got to New York City, we get the best rate possible for our group. And he certainly is willing to get any number of students who are willing to do certainly an internship if they qualify. Yes.
Thinking of a recent, actually an Egyptian student in hospitality management was working at Great Escape as an amusement park just down the road in Lake George. And I think he's the one that's currently working for 4 Points Sheraton. He's worked for Hilton. And we have, yes, as Dr. Gabriel mentioned in town, we have Marriott in town, we have Hampton, the Hampton Inn, among some others, and the Sable Club. We have some high-end ones nearby in the Adirondacks. So again, there's something called the Sable Club, which provides lodging. I know of international students who've worked there in the summer. Then after they graduated, they continued working with the Sable Club, but they also have a property in Florida. So there's a lot of that. We're in the Adirondacks. We are right close to a lot of opportunities.
Great, thanks, Amelia. I have another question. It's not really relative to this presentation. Kushi asked about study abroad program. Which is a really neat opportunity that our international students have here. And it's funny you asked this, Kushi, because I'm in the process of scheduling another one of these type of webinars with our study abroad coordinator, Brooke Leahy. She's super, super fun, super nice colleague of ours, and you will definitely enjoy that conversation. So stay tuned on that. We will do that in the future. Yeah, Amelia?
France. We have an exchange program for our business students at Rennes, France, which is in northern, I believe it's in Burgundy.
Wow,
So
there you go.
An exchange program means you're paying the same tuition. I believe Brooke will talk about it more, but you're essentially, it's the same thing. Since we already have an
Yeah.
exchange agreement, we get students from Rennes, France, fabulous. And then we send students to their same university there. And I believe
Yep.
it's mostly, I think believe they teach in English. Sorry, Dr. Gaber, were you trying to say something? I wasn't sure if you were jumping in there, but I believe their classes there in Rennes are taught in English.
I believe so too.
That's
But yeah, I'll schedule something. Kushi, keep your eye out for that. I know you're not the first student to express interest in this, which is what got me thinking. And we will talk about that. I don't know. I'm going to talk to Brooke today and try to get something scheduled for sooner than later. So
I want to go.
I know I want to go too.
I want to go.
I want to go too. I would love to go to France right now.
Let's go back.
Or anywhere really. Put me, I'll go to Sudan right now or something, North Korea. I don't know, just get me on a plane. Oh.
Questions coming. These are great questions. I love how engaged you all are. Really good questions.
Amelia, you said that in the beginning of your presentation about attendance and participation.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed from this cohort of students that I've been working with this year, they are not afraid to ask questions and
Awesome.
to speak up. Like, and you know, as a former teacher in China, and you know too, you were a former ESL teacher, there's nothing more frustrating than a class full of people who won't say anything. But
you
we do
learn
not have
that way.
We do not have that problem here with this.
No,
group,
and you
so-
work so hard on your lesson plan, right? I'm sure Dr. Gaber's been through you. And then they just, come on.
Yeah, well,
And there
that's,
certainly are going to be some lectures where it is just talking heads, and sometimes that is, right? That's what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I call the talking head. There's going to be a traditional lecture, but a lot of times there's going to be some back and forth, or again, go visit them in their office hours
yeah,
to talk to
absolutely.
them.
Yeah.
Or you can even grab a coffee. We have a special program on campus where I think you get a free coffee if you go with your professor. I'm sure they probably still have that at local
What?
Tim Hortons, the Cardinal Coffee.
I
I've done
didn't
that
know
before.
that.
Yeah, I've done that before when working with Geo and an international student, like, let's go out for some coffee or tea.
Wow.
There's a little special
So,
program.
so if I went to Tim Hortons with Dr. Gaber, I could get a free coffee?
Well, no, it's not a student.
Is that what? That's what I
I think
heard.
it's a buy one, get one free kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah,
And
to
the
encourage
lunch.
that.
Well, that sounds good to me. Well, great. Are there any other questions out there? I know we've been going on for an hour here, and everyone has other things to do, but we can stick around if you have any other questions.
I do want to mention, this final page, of course, I make sure there's all seasons. So up top here are these amazing international students. She was a hospitality management. Now she's working out in Chicago. But these are all international students. Here's the one that did the marketing internship with athletics as well. And we have a gorgeous campus in the fall. This is so beautiful to be here in the fall. And I didn't want to, we don't want to lie that there is a winter time here, but they survive, and students from India do survive. And layered up in winter coats, and students, we have students from Ethiopia in that picture as well, from other hot places that they do survive. It's all right. And you have this story to tell, and you're not the first international student from a warm place that will go to somewhere with snow.
Right,
I
that's right.
actually remember seeing some pictures on social media of some of our Indian students like twirling around, like, it's snowing, the first time I've seen snow. It's so exciting. It's really, a student from Mumbai, I remember, was doing that. It's totally
awesome. That's awesome. Well, I think that's pretty good then. I don't, oh, wait, we've got one more here. Is mathematics, oh.
I would just stop sharing.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry,
Is
sorry.
mathematics compulsory in management or business major? I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Gaber, I think for most, I just know of accounting, of course, for sure.
Well,
I-
accounting itself is not mathematics, but we certainly need, as a school of business, every single students within the school of business, with the exception of hospitality management, they are required to take calculus. So, and that's the first, couple of courses in calculus. They are very easy. And you need the mathematics in order to inject it into your field and that will help you make a decision. So it's not the end by itself.
And
I
so
think that's
his follow-up here, if you can see, is what if you don't like a particular subject? Can you choose another? And Amelia, you worked with that quite a
Yeah.
bit. So
Yeah, when I was an international student advisor, I did work with that. And I get it. It's tough. I'm gonna probably sound like your parent here, but sometimes we have to do things in life that we don't like. And it's a life learning experience in resiliency. I've certainly taken classes I don't like. My boss has told me things to do that I don't like. Right? There's sometimes it's a life lesson, in my opinion. So sometimes you might be able, if it's a general education requirement, you might be able to find something else. Like, for example, an art requirement, you might be able to find something else. Right? I know. I'm going to sound like your mom. You're your auntie here. But math is going to be required, depending what's if you took something else already. And maybe it's credited in, but I think for a general education requirement too, you're going to have some math. Remember, being a well-rounded person,
Yeah.
you're going to have some English, some math, some arts, some science, all put in there as a SUNY school. I would say if you don't like it, there's two ways. One, if you already know ahead of time, start at like 3 weeks in, after you get your first quiz or some of your first marks, get a tutor.
yeah,
Get
I
a
was just gonna
tutor.
say that.
Get a tutor and do it. There's no shame. A lot of students do it. And again, they hire students there as well. So you're working with a peer. It's not like you're, and a peer who gets it as well. You're going to be comfortable with them. Because some things you're just required to take and you can't. Sometimes there's no choice, unfortunately. So make the best of it by getting a tutor and doing it one step at a time. And try to get a C or higher. Sometimes you have a choice of subjects and sometimes you do not. But Geo usually keeps track of those that are not doing well at midterms, and we're going to come in, and sometimes you just need to drop it, or there's too many things going on in your life right now that during that semester. That happens often, and a sign of maturity is like, I'm not going to do well in this class. Drop it, and then you retake it another time to get it a better grade when maybe it's just a better time. Hope that helps.
Peter, I saw something about ACC 306, and that's an accounting course, accounting information systems. But what is the question related to that? Because I would like to add a little bit. For the general education, you have tremendous amount of choice. For every single section or category in general education, you have like 10, 15 different courses to choose from. So I have my son graduated from here, SUNY Plattsburgh, and they have the arts and humanities, and said, I like the course in music. And he took a course in music. Some other people take a course in theater, something like that. But I'm not sure what is the course that is referred to as ACC 306. That is a very specialized course in accounting. And there are no choices in terms of when it comes to your own discipline. Unless you have, let's say, choose two of the following, then you can look at what is available to you and choose what you're comfortable with.
Right. So like a general ed course, you would need a science requirement, for example, right? And you could take biology, chemistry, physical science, earth science, like a number of different things to fill that one requirement.
Right. I have some people said, I love astronomy, and it's not heavy in science, but it gives you an idea about how the globe and the light is seen. And they fall in love with that, and they did very well.
We have a planetarium on campus, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. We do.
It's super cool. I love to take my family there when they're open. It's super cool.
Yeah.
They're great. So when subjects in your hobbies, sometimes there is, or certainly there's clubs related to your hobbies. There's so many cool stuff, whether it's anime or gaming, or if you've always wanted to learn how to ski. We have some amazing ski mountains nearby that includes transportation. If you ever wanted to try snowboarding, we have an Olympic mountain just down the road.
Yeah.
Super cool. You might want to do that starting out, but there's certainly.
If your hobby is painting, take an art class as an elective or to fill a requirement, or
Right. So there's certain options. Certainly, as Peter was saying, for general education, there's these general topics, and then there's specific classes that will fulfill that requirement. But you do have options, but within a they're going to list those options for you. When you're going to get something called a degree works, and during international student orientation, that's something Jackie, the director, loves to do, is help you interpret what degree works mean. It's basically a software program that tells you what classes you need.
Yep.
Okay, and there will show you your options and how you can look those up. So Geo is your friend. They're there to ensure your success as well. It's a teamwork together.
Yep. And yes,
Great
Angel, you will
questions.
be given options.
Well, for certain things.
For certain things.
Sometimes sometimes there's not. But
Yeah,
for certain
yeah.
things. For a lot of things, I should say, special general education. So you can take what, and that's where it really works. Take what you like.
Oh, yeah. Well, you mentioned changing your major. I changed my major 4 times when I was an undergrad. And I settled on the one that interested me the most because I could do better, because I liked it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
yes, dear, what's your question? So he's asking about, I guess, honors courses. What exactly is the difference between an honors course and not an honors course?
Well, we have, and I'm sure that, all of us know, we have an honor center. Certainly you have to apply to be participant in that program, and they will help you. Some of your general educational courses they offer in the honor center and will satisfy your general education. And the faculty are from, majority of disciplines who are willing to teach in that honor. This is a very specific program. If you are qualified for it, please do. I have 5 of our certainly accounting major in the past, one from Pakistan, and she graduated with certainly so many courses in the honor program. And she did have the offer 1 year before graduation. And she was the commencement speaker, at that time in 2005. Hira Shafkat, I don't know if any of you remember that name. So she was an accounting major, and she took a course in biology, and with the academic faculty in biology, she made a presentation at a national conference, and they ended up with an article. So students in accounting who is publishing in biology. And that was amazing to me, certainly. So it is, and we have a wonderful people who are in charge of that program, and will urge, certainly students who are certainly qualified, interested in getting into that program. There are 2 different, certainly classes they classify as. If you are going to be ending with an honor degree, you have to take certain number of courses in the honor program, and all fits within your major. But you don't have to do that. You may be participant in that program and qualify to take only 1 or 2 or 3 courses.
I'm also going to add in there that during international student orientation, and I don't know, maybe that's since changed, or they may let you know ahead of time. If you are, they'll usually know coming in if you are eligible or not. And usually you're giving sometimes a little card to say, or invitation to go talk to the director of the honors program, which happens to be the next building over, just down the hall from the president's office, to go speak with them and talk with them at the honors program if you're eligible for that to join. Great question. I'm impressed by these students, Peter. Nice job.
And from what I understand, like the students will work much closer with professors on projects and things in an honors program. Is that right?
In an honor program, certainly it is completely different style of teaching. Discussion is a round table. The faculty will be one of the participants, and all 7 or 8 or 9, because I know that firsthand. I did teach one course many years ago in the honor program. And it's mainly the student, you are in the lead to say something that is exceptional. It is inside you, and you contribute to the discipline. And you grow up in that program because you have the people who are in charge, certainly they know that although it's a tough course, but you are qualified certainly to succeed in that course or courses. And it will help you tremendously if you have that in your resume once you finish whatever degree that you have.
Yeah, that's cool. Good questions, guys. Is there anything else out there? I think that's probably good for today. I keep checking, my inbox keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Or Peter, I haven't checked.
Yeah, well, it's on the other screen. I should have put a different window open on there.
I know, it's always distracting, right?
But thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us, and fantastic questions. Dr. Gaber and Amelia, thanks for helping us out
You're
here.
so welcome.
Yeah.
And Angel, well, I'll get back to you. I'll zip over and ask that question to my colleagues, and then I'll probably send the answer to Peter, who can send it to you.
Yeah, no
Just
problem.
to clarify that about the 600 hours in internship, also to make sure I know and I don't misspeak again. I want to make sure I'm clear. So
Awesome.
we'll get back to you.
All right. Well, let's call it a day then. Thanks everybody for joining us. Take care, everybody over there. Our eyes are on India in the news every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So take care. Stay safe.
Take care.
We will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.